Okay, in the event Nate Diaz and Dustin Poirier square up, seems like a dumb question to ask, but who wins? I think I don't know. It seems like a clear answer to me that it's Dustin Poirier. I'm assuming you agree.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Because look at what Nate did to Leon. Like I think he was winning that fight, and he lost because of his own little
Who was winning the
mannerisms.
fight?
I thought Nate was winning that fight,
No, you're remembering very incorrectly.
dude.
What
He
happened
almost
was for
knocked
four
Leon
and
the
a
hell
half
out.
rounds, Leon was beating Nate, and then randomly that last whatever it was, sometime in the last 3 minutes or something, Nate landed that one strike on Leon. Leon stumbled, and then Nate decided to point his finger at him and not capitalize.
Listen, in the words of Vin Diesel, it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning.
Yes, but that was the only time that he had a moment of victory. The rest, he was getting handled.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I guess like a more honest, serious answer, a betting man's answer would be Dustin Poirier. But we saw how that went with our last pick.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if you saw this, but we're recording this maybe like a week after all the possible speculation of Diaz and Poirier came out. And I think maybe like 3 or 4 days ago, I saw a line was released. I don't know what website released the line, but it was minus 400 Poirier plus 300 Diaz. And honestly, that sounds about right. Because I think Leon was a pretty heavy favorite too against Nate. Forgot
Yeah.
what, maybe around that. If anything, Leon maybe had been a heavy. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I think Nate was like plus 425 or something like that against Nate. Against Leon. Something crazy like that. By the time it closed, it was pretty steep. And it kind of makes sense. So looking at Nate, he hasn't won in over 2 years. His last victory was against Anthony Pettis. So he's lost three of his last four. He's not immensely active. He had like what is that, about a year and a half layoff there between Masvidal and Edwards. He got beat up pretty good by Jorge Masvidal.
Doctor
So
Stoppage.
yeah, yeah. It was bad, man. I mean, he was absolutely gushing blood. I remember though watching that fight, I didn't want the doctor to stop that fight. I wanted to see what was going to happen, but I mean, probably was not a terrible decision. He was oozing and oozing. Well, he was gushing. He wasn't even oozing. So he has these moments in the fights. That's the thing. He's incredibly durable. Sometimes I think for like not for his own good for Nate. You can take a lot of damage, but that's the thing. Like since he can take so much damage, you don't know if he sometimes somehow can catch you. Like again, how it kind of happened with Leon. I think if he really did capitalize on that, he maybe could have ended that fight right there, but he didn't. And Dustin has shown sometimes being susceptible to getting finished. Granted, he's also tough. I'm not saying he's just glass chin, but his last four losses for Dustin have all been by finish. Granted, now they span quite a distance between each other, but the last four fights he got finished, two by sub and I think two by KO TKO. So there's an avenue to victory for Nate if this were to happen. Nate has 21 victories, 13 of them are by sub. The last two losses for Poirier were by submission. You know, he got rear naked choke by both of the previous champs, by Oliveira and Nurmagomedov. So it's not like completely unreasonable for Nate to win, but I wouldn't expect Dustin to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same way too, especially because this would not go down to the ground. It's going to be a stand-up fight, and I think in a stand-up fight, Poirier definitely takes it. But to your point about Nate's chin, it's kind of incredible, man. Like, if the guy didn't have as much scar tissue as he does, and he didn't bleed as much as he does, like, you know, you wouldn't think that anything's happening to him. It's just the fact that he gets opened up so easily, where you're like,
And the
oh my
wind
god,
blows a
Nate's
little
getting
too hard in
fucked
the
up.
arena. He starts gushing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, so, I mean, yeah, no, it's hard to say, man. But do I think that he could legitimately beat Poirier in like a 5-rounder? No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think that he'll. I don't think he has the same technicality as Poirier. And B, I don't think that Poirier's, especially coming off this loss, he would be going into it thinking like, oh, you know, this is just like a friendly matchup. It's a what do you call it? A charity fight. Like, hell no, dude. He's going to want to get back up to title contender status. So if it were to be a matchup, Poirier would come out looking for blood.
I'm curious where this fight happened. If it were to happen, like what weight class, I should say, not where as in location, because
Yeah, that's a good
Poirier, when
point.
he was talking with Helwani, said, I don't know if I see myself making that cut down to 155. I think Nate would be open to fight at 170. I forget when Nate and Connor fought. I forget if those were at, yeah. So Conor McGregor Diaz 2 was at 170, and I don't remember if the first one was 170 as well. Let me check. Oh, so those are both at 170. So Nate has fought at. I know Nate has fought at 170 before. I just didn't remember if both those McGregor ones were at 170. So, well, what am I saying? Edwards was welterweight too. So never mind.
I feel
So
like
yeah,
that.
this would happen at 170 then.
I
'Cause,
feel like
I
that
mean, Dustin
benefits
is.
Poirier even further. Then,
Yeah, it won't. It doesn't hurt him obviously
yeah,
because that he doesn't have to make that cut. That he's even before this last fight, he has said it's getting tougher and tougher to make that cut, which makes sense. Because he is a bigger dude. I think he walks around what, like 190 or something, maybe
jeez,
185. So imagine 185, 190. I think is what he walks around at. So cutting from 185 to 155. I mean, it's pretty tough, man.
that's nuts, man. That's nuts.
Yeah, so yeah, I agree. I do think fighting at 170, regardless of who Poirier fights, benefits him because he's going to be more closer to his natural body weight. I mean, that goes to say it for anyone. But that's the lone X factors. If Nate just keeps sticking around, and you can't put him away, you can't get the doctor stoppage or whatever, or just have him bleed out. He's always just has a chance because he can just randomly catch you. And he's also very slick with his jiu-jitsu. He could maybe get you and just choke you out or something, man. Of those 21 wins, 13 of them are by submission victory. So he obviously he has that ability. So that's, I think, the X factor is if you can somehow get him. I don't anticipate him knocking out Dustin. I think if he were to win, it's to somehow catch him with a choke or something. How he does it, I don't know. But he has that craft. He has that ability, man. He can be very crafty like that. So
Yeah, and
I
on
don't
the
think
flip
it's
side, I don't see Nate getting knocked out. I mean, look at his record here. His last TKO outside of that doctor stoppage was 2013.
yeah. And he's
So
only lost twice by KO TKO. So
yeah,
that was the
like
only one.
to speak credit to that Mexican chin man because good luck. Like even against Poirier at welter, like I don't see that knockout happening.
Yeah, so I mean, so they have the lines at minus 400 plus 300. I'd be curious if I mean, that would be a 5 rounder. What they would set the line at for the over under on the rounds. I don't think it would be any lower than 3.5, 2.5 maybe. But man, that 2.5 over would probably be a pretty decent favorite. Because Nate's kind of a slow starter as is, and then again he can hang around. So I don't know. I don't know if Dustin would put that away quick, or if he would even want to. Maybe he kind of starts at a slow pace too.
I don't know. So that's interesting. I would assume, and this is just speculation on my part. I would assume because of Nate's chin, you'd set it at something like 4.5, with the favorite being the over. Because I mean, he does not, and he goes to look 5 rounds, 5 rounds, 3 rounds, 3 rounds, 3. Like he almost always goes to the very end, unless he gets one of his subs in. So I could see it at I could see them setting it at 4.5, over being the favorite. Whereas Poirier, I guess this is what would throw that a little bit. Because if let's just start from his fight with Holloway, he went to decision. He lost against Khabib, but who didn't? Against Hooker, he went to decision. He beat Connor, but arguably not Connor in his prime. Inarguably, I would say. Connor already on the downhill.
That was nice guy Connor. That fight was the nice guy Connor.
The nice guy Connor, right? Well, the Connor that couldn't talk smack anymore. I think that's what did it. He's no more smack talking, man. It just doesn't work. So I don't know. I don't really count these, I guess. And then here he gets submitted. So yeah, I don't know. I would guess 4.5, favorite being the over, and then the under probably being very like a small plus something. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I honestly just from a like I would watch this fight. Like I wouldn't be like, oh man, why did they make this fight? But like I'm not jumping up and down to see this get booked. And it's kind of lost steam again. I think we're recording this maybe about a week after the first rumblings of this came out, and it seems like it's kind of lost steam. Both guys were kind of going back and forth on Twitter nothing malicious, just kind of here and there saying some stuff. But like, it seems like it's not really on a priority list or anything like that. And you were mentioning like something about like if Dustin wants to make a run at the title, I don't think this fight. I don't think anyone beating Nate Diaz warrants anything. The guy shouldn't even be ranked in my opinion. I know there's a bunch of Nate Diaz fans, but
since we're on the subject, brings me to another point. I know this video is about the Nate and Poirier matchup, but I would actually like to see Nate and Connor go at it again.
I mean, I think both guys want to do it too.
Dude, the UFC would get paid supremely.
Oh yeah.
And then on top of that, I feel like they're both kind of, one leg in the coffin, so to speak. So put them against each other, man, and it's going to be a banger.
Yeah, I think both men would agree that's a very easy money fight for the UFC. That's an easy pay-per-view to sell. It's number 3. They're 1-1. I mean, yeah, why not? I would be more inclined, more eager to see versus Diaz versus Poirier, just because for what you said, like Connor, hasn't won since like 2016 in an MMA fight. So, I'd like to see those two kind of go at it again.
Oh no, you're forgetting. He beat Cerrone. He beat Cowboy. Which is so basically
I think that was his lone win since 2016 though. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Your previous statement stands, man.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw that Cerrone fight was booked, I was like, dude, what the hell is this? Why the hell? And that's the headline. I mean, it's Connor. Connor could fight anyone, and it's going to be the pay-per-view headliner. But
yeah, but you throw Nate Diaz on that, oh my god, dude, you're going to break records.
Yeah, I mean, their two already, I think, are up there. Their 2 fights together are already up there on the pay-per-view. So they're definitely top 10 if I'm not mistaken. So I would be more inclined to want to see that versus Dustin, because again, Dustin, I would assume if he's going to 170, he wants to make some noise and try and go for a title. Him beat, like, if he beats Nate, like, I don't think that does any. What does that do?
I don't know, but that brings up an interesting question. I mean, so Dustin goes to well, we can keep that for a different thing, because we can go on for another 10, 20 minutes on this one.
Yeah. So I guess we'll kind of leave it at that again. So like we said in the beginning, if Nate and Dustin were to face off, who wins? How do they win? I think we both go with Poirier. Honestly, I don't know how Poirier would win if he were to. Maybe, if that scar tissue gives in, maybe Nate just kind of bleeds out, or maybe he just goes decision. I mean, it's hard to finish that guy. He's only been finished 3 times out of, what is that, 34 fights? So less than 10% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, my gut says it either goes to decision with a Poirier win, or if it ends early, then it ends early with a Nate Diaz win.
That's possible. I mean, let us know what you guys think. Yeah, we'll see. Whether this happens or not, I don't know. It seems like it's lost game, but if it does, that's kind of what we think might happen.